Hey Jeremy, so here's the sump that I mocked up in this program. Um, this is where my head's going, what I would probably do if I had your tank. You're going to see some things that might cost a little money, like these two pumps. We'll get to that. First things first, you said it needed to be 24 by 20 by 14, which is perfectly fine. That at first you said 24 by 24. That would still work, but we do have to somehow squeeze the dosing pumps in here and the reservoirs to hold all your chemicals. So I know you did mention briefly on the phone that we're going to be in the 30s maybe. Your stand's going to be, 36 by 36 or something like that. So that could come into play too. We could always make this 24 by 24 as well. If that's how big you're going to make your cabinet or whatever. So we'll just go through this step by step on the way if I had your tank, this is exactly what I would do. A lot of these ideas are from my current sump that I just rebuilt. So you are I haven't done the math on how much acrylic you would need, but just looking at this 24 by 20 by 14, you're probably going to need a half a sheet, maybe if well, you wouldn't need a full sheet, but a half a sheet of acrylic. It could be 1/4 inch, could be 3/8. Wouldn't go any smaller than 1/4 inch. If it was me, I'd build it out of 3/8 just because the last sump I built, I'll always do 3/8 from here on out. It is so much easier to cut, so much easier to glue, looks better, stronger. So I would just plan on 3/8. I got a whole sheet, an 8 foot by 4 foot sheet for $175. So you probably need half that. So do the math. You could probably get it for $100, maybe a little less. But you talk to the average person, they think that's ridiculous. I'm not going to spend $100 on my sump. Well, you've seen them. They're just the glass breeder piece of crap looking sumps. This one, it's highly customized, is most hands off as you can possibly get. That's exactly what I go for, exactly what I think everybody should strive for. The more you have your hands in the tank, the faster you're going to hate the hobby and get stressed out, stuff like that. So get right to it. You said your display tank has a rear left built-in overflow. This size of tank, I would imagine it's only going to have 2 holes, one for return, one for drain. So the drain, and I bet they're 3/4 inch holes, so 3/4 inch pipe for the whole entire build would be optimal. But you just have to envision the tank on top of this. All right, this is the drain. These pipes have nothing to do with the drain. So one drain, it would just come down here. It'd almost be, I guess, look at this PVC right here, but flipped. It'd be the other way around. It'd be coming down from an elbow straight off the tank, but running the length of the tank and then spilling down into here. Let me zoom in here, which is a closed off compartment in there, right? So the water would just go into there. It'd fill up, spill over into these two socks, 100 micron, 200 micron, and after running mine, I'm probably never going to go anything less than 200 micron. I was using hundreds, and I was surprised at how fast they filled up. Granted, my tank was really dirty. I don't know, how long it would take to actually, get no debris. I had a lot flying around though, so I might go back to hundreds. I have 100 and 200, but either way, here you'd be able to use any size you want. You have your option here too. They make 2 different sizes socks. They make them in 4-inch radius or 7. I built this basically on scale to 4. But you could, obviously, if we go 7, everything's going to shift to the left by 3 inches. So that's something to look at. I mean, if I had the room, if this was my tank, I probably. Well, what I'm trying to say is if you go the 7-inch route, those socks are 7 by 14. So if you were to go 7 inches, this sump would definitely have to be taller because you want this 14. If you're stuck at 14, which is fine, because that's exactly what my new sump is 14 inches tall. I use the 4 by 8.5 inch socks, but I also have 4 of them. You have 2, so therefore they're going to fill up a little faster. But you know your schedule. You know how easy it would be to to change these out. And I build this filter sock holder in a way so these socks are actually sitting on a lip, so the water just spills right down into them. The water will not butt up against them. It'll just spill right in, and that makes it so easy to change. You just have 15, 20 of these on hand, just so you can be a little lazy, and then just clean them as you see fit. Now this might be an option you don't even want. Some people hate socks, some people love them. So you can look at it right here. If you don't have the socks, then we can configure this even more, but I think it's just the smartest thing to do is put socks in. And say, I mean, this would all be glued for sure, so it's never coming out. So let's say you were happy with socks at the get-go, but then they just sucked and you had to scratch that idea. Well, if you were to take these socks out, you'd kind of have just water splashing down inside, but that's when you can just take a Sump or 2 socks, cut the bottom out of the sock, and you'll get rid of that waterfall effect. So even though you might never use socks down the road, you could have just, you could even put screen there, or no, not even screen, that'd be tacky. You would just use these socks and modify them in a way so it would just still be silent. But the having the socks on mine going from 0 socks to 4, and I just I was taking down my system, but just seeing that how these socks worked, man, I had absolutely 0 bubbles and 0 turbulence through my sump. It was so nice. I can't wait to get it back up and running. So I mean, you have an internal skimmer that will be putting out some bubbles, but that's the only bubble. If you ever see bubbles in your sump, it's because of your skimmer. These socks will break all the bubbles. So spending too much time on that, let's get going. So it go through the socks here, and it would just fill up this compartment. Since you have that Deltec APF 600, that has to that's not an internal skimmer, so it gets fed from another pump. So this would just always be full, and it would it would spill out over the over this right here. Or another idea would be to let's go ahead and make a hole right here. However big. This is what I did on mine. I cut a hole right there just to make it so water didn't have to come all the way up here, because let's just say this is 14 inches, but this would be like 13. Just so water doesn't have to come all the way up to here. It would all spill out of this hole, and that's probably what you'd want to do. We just make a hole down here, like a 4-inch hole. It'd all come through here. Obviously, we have the bubble trap to get rid of any bubbles whatsoever, and to your pumps and back up. So let's start there. The water would come in through here. I have 3 reactors here for you. I was just factoring 3. I doubt you'll have 3, but I was just put it there just for peace of mind. You got carbon, you got ROFOS, some kind of phosphate remover, and maybe pellets. I don't know. But as you look over here, I've got 2 pumps. Now the pump you have is that Quiet One 4000. It does like 980 gallons an hour. I know exactly which pump you're talking about. I remember taking care of your tank. I saw it. It does put out quite a bit of water. But when you had that in your 90 gallon, I'm pretty sure that was pushing through a 1-inch bulkhead, and it was going up maybe 3 or 4 feet of head loss, which is fine. That would still work on this tank. However, to then throw in a manifold, that's where it's up in the air. You won't know until you actually try. If you were to have that one pump and it was the return and the manifold, I have no idea. I mean, there's no way to factor in if it's going to be able to return water to the tank and all 3 of these reactors and your skimmer. If that's the way you set it up, it might, but I wouldn't want to get that far and plumb all this, build all this, and then realize that your pump's not strong enough to feed all this stuff. So what I was thinking is, and for one, I don't like that Quiet One pump you have. It's too big. It takes too much power. It's too noisy. For internal builds, I mean, I'm glad you're starting over and you want to do this right and clean. I don't think there's a better internal pump than the Eheims. Yeah, they're kind of spendy, but you know, this is gonna be your tank for a while. And I hate it when somebody's got a nice looking system up top, and then you open the bottom, and it's just, you know, glass sump and just messy. And they've got cheap pumps. It's noisy. I like everything nice, clean looking. So definitely toss around this idea. For a return, obviously the Eheim, what is it, 1062s, I think is the biggest they make. They're like 150 bucks. You wouldn't have to get those. You just need a pump that's gonna push. And you know, another thing is these Eheim pumps are all over Reef Central, all over online. Somebody's always selling a used one. These things last forever. This one, I would just get two of them, two identical ones. I don't know. You have to look at the prices, but you just need one to push water up top, and that's it. So it'd just be hard plumps straight up, no interference, no corners, or no elbows, nothing like that. Just straight up getting water back into the tank. Then this one would this other pump would feed all your other equipment. So I didn't draw it in here, but I think you can get the gist of it. You'd have a PVC T in all one of these, and then a ball valve to regulate the flow to all three of these. And then your skimmer, you might want to move the skimmer around. I don't know. I think I'd put it here just for aesthetics to make the piping look the best. The only trick is to get this last one. You need to get a hose from that to the skimmer. And I remember that on the APF 600, this is not a picture of the Deltec, but it's pretty close. Right here is your nipple for water into the skimmer. So if it was me, I would probably just use vinyl tubing for this, but somehow make it go along this filter sock thing right along the edge so nobody can see it. I mean, you could probably even, I don't know if you'll be able to understand this, but I would build, like, on top of this filter sock holder, build another like tube, but a square tube, and the hose could go through it, so the hose never moves, and it would come right here. That would look really clean, and it would be hidden. You wouldn't be able to see that hose because it would be coming right along through here into the skimmer. So then obviously these three would control these three reactors. I left this big open area here. You know, these things are deceiving because these aren't by exact standards, measurements, but you are going to have a big empty spot here. I don't know how big, but you know, you could definitely put whatever you want in here. Maybe you have even more reactors, or let's say you get an even nicer skimmer down the road that's internal. Well, that can go over here, and we could just modify a few things, make sure bubbles don't get into the skimmers. That wouldn't be hard. But what I was thinking too is, depending on how you do your aquascape in the 60, you know, if you don't have enough rock, stuff like that, you could get some dry rock, very clean dry rock with no debris, nothing gonna fall off of it, and you put it in here. And the reason why I say no debris and things like that is because I hate it when people run rock in their sumps, and you look underneath the rock and it's full of detritus and it's full of worms. It's full of all this detritus giving off nitrates and making your water even dirtier, and it just makes it look nasty. Is because they don't get in there, they have no flow to get rid of all that detritus. Well, the only way that detritus is coming in is from the display tank, and it's not being caught because they're not running socks. So you could throw as much rock in here as you want. You're never going to have a dirty sump. As long as you always have these socks going, you'll never have a dirty sump. It's impossible if you keep changing these. Now, some of the safety features built into this sump, now that last comment made me think about it. Let's say you're lazy for a week or two and these socks are completely full, completely clogged. It's okay. They're just going to continue to overflow down into here, down into this hole. And let's say something even bigger gets clogged and something completely goes wrong, whatever. That's why I built this baffle right off the socks. It doesn't go right to the top. So no matter what, your water is going to spill over into here if it gets to that. But by then, you know, that's probably never ever going to happen because you're going to have this gigantic hole right down here. So that's all I can think of right now. This is what I have in my head. I guess let me know if you have any ideas, concerns, or whatnot. Um, it's really pretty easy to build. Just take a weekend to build. Getting the acrylic is always the tricky part, though. So if you can start looking now at these guys that are selling acrylic fish tanks, we can always bust it, cut it up and use it that way. I mean, I know that's how Josh got his latest score. He got a 70-gallon acrylic. No, it was 100-gallon acrylic tank. His actual fish tank. Some guy on Craigslist, he got it for like $70, and that's gonna be his new sump. So, um, I like working with brand new acrylic because there's no scratches and they look brand new all the time. Because the only way scratches are gonna get on it is from you not taking care of it. But I understand that. I mean, you look at my first sump that I had, that 1-inch sump, that thing was all scratched up. It looked fine, but it's just a big pet peeve of mine, just all those scratches and stuff. But obviously, money's a factor. It's going to cost you more to buy raw acrylic and then cut it up, but it might look cleaner. So either way, let me know what you think. I can add to this if you got some ideas. Make it start coming to life in your mind. So talk to you later.